Do you like what we do here? I would assume so if you're listening to this. We have had a good year for growth this year. We've had substantial growth on all the podcast feeds with new subscribers. We have the new YouTube channel with a bunch of new subscribers there too. But we want to carry this over into 2026 so we can continue to provide high-quality entertainment, high-quality news, high-quality reviews, and all that kind of stuff. So what we're asking for going into next year is, if you have the ability, we're not asking for a lot, you can donate. Go to ko-fi.com/MWP News and make a donation. Everything you do goes towards making sure we can do things. That way I can take days off work to go and cover things early, or, things of that nature. Go to events and talk about them early, see advanced screenings. All that stuff goes into that budget. On top of that, if you can't afford that, and I realize right now things are tough and things are rough out there. If you can't afford that, the easiest thing you can do is subscribe and rate. No matter what you use to get this podcast, you can subscribe. Just hit the follow button, hit subscribe, whatever the button is on your thing, and then rate us. Give us 5 stars. That'll help more people find us, and the more people find us, the more we can, the more we'll be able to do, and we'll be able to get more happening. You can also go to mwpnews.com and sign up for our newsletter. There we will have articles and stuff like that about what we cover on this show. And we will also be doing more gaming content on the YouTube channel. If we can get, with more subscribers on there, we can do more. And that's youtube.com/@MWPnews. And again, thank you for a great year for us. Next year will be better. One of the big issues that I had this year that preempted me from doing a lot of what I wanted to has been resolved with the issue with my car, and that issue has been resolved. So going into this next year, we should be a lot more smooth sailing, but we do need your help to get more people listening and get what we're doing here out there. So just subscribe, tell your friends, and if you have the ability to, and you have the money, and you want to, and you think we're doing a good job, and we've earned that, go to ko-fi.com/MWP News and throw us whatever you think we deserve. And thank you, and enjoy this episode. Good morning and welcome to the Backlog Files. I am Adam, and here we are with another new release. I've talked about it before. I think that, in an age of IP, in an age of nostalgia, driving consumer habits, there are a few things that have not quite been tapped. To the degree that they could have. And one of the ones I've talked about it a few times, I feel like, is Neopets. Neopets, what the fuck is this guy doing? Neopets being the online web game that had like a physical component where you could buy toys and shit like that. There was a few video games for it, like The Darkest Fairy. There was a puzzle game. And it kind of fizzled a little bit, and I think part of that comes from the fact that it was a browser-based experience, and as online games changed, browser-based experiences kind of fell by the wayside. It was a very unique kind of thing. There were a few others like it. I put it in the same category as Postopia, which was the version of this that existed specifically for people who would go out and buy Post cereals. People in my age group probably remember asking their moms to buy them honeycombs or something like that. Not just because they were good cereals, but also because you get a code in the box, and you can put it in to unlock more stuff on the website. It's a genius marketing gimmick. Webkins. My sister was big on Webkins. Club Penguin. And Neopets is another one that was there as an option. And the point in all of this is, I've always felt that Neopets was kind of the thing that like would have broad appeal and probably could have lasted into the modern era with upgrades. And I think that part of it came from the fact that like Neopets was big, and then it was bought by Paramount and was under the Nickelodeon banner. Then they never really did anything with it, and then it ended up where it is now. Looking at it, I still believe that there is something there, and there is something that could be used in this regard. So when a few months ago I found out about the Mega Mini Games collection that was being released 2 weeks ago at this point, I was very interested. I'm like, this could be something good. This could be a first step in kind of revitalizing this. Banking on the nostalgia, it's $25 plus tax. If you buy the physical, it's $30. But like, this is a good, first step to get it together. A good amount of the Neopets games were Flash, so a lot of them were lost. These are all rebuilt in Unity, and it's like, okay, this is a really good idea, and I think that this is something that could be useful. Then the game came out. It came out a few weeks ago, and I played it. I bought it the day of. Because, like, you know what? Like, I was big on this shit when I was, a kid. Like, when I was, younger, I was really big into this shit. I played online a lot. I had the stock market going. I had a shop. I had, I collected all the shit. I did daily check-ins and all of that. And I was really into it. So, like, the idea that, like, oh, all those mini games that you used to play are going to be in one collection is something that's like, oh, shit, that's really intriguing. Let's pick that up. Here's the issue with this collection, and I think that this is kind of a fundamental issue that I feel like, kind of needs to be addressed. The game is buggy as fuck. This has to be one of the least polished experiences that I've played in recent years. The fact that when you download the game, a good amount of the mini games just don't work properly is a problem, considering it's a collection of mini games. The other thing is it's under 35 total mini games that are in this collection, so you're paying basically $1 a piece for a bunch of Flash games. And then it's like there's a story mode that you can go through. Once you go through the story mode, you unlock arcade mode. I played this on the Switch, and the inherent problem that I encountered with this on the Switch is that there is one final mini game that's basically like I would call it, Guitar Hero, but really it's more like Tap Tap Revenge. That old, like, iPod Touch game that everyone had when it first came out, and it had a bunch of, like, music that wasn't really licensed. Yeah, it's that. But the issue is it's bugged, so nothing you input actually processes. It doesn't process what you're tapping. So you might as well not tap anything at all. In fact, you can actually get through all the songs if you just let it play, because it doesn't charge a miss unless you try to tap and it misses. But it always charges an incorrect tap if you press any button. So you just can't clear that minigame and clear story mode. Now, you can unlock arcade mode by putting in the Konami code on the home screen, but aside from that, you cannot beat this game to get that. The other thing is, the minigames themselves are bugged. Mercia Chase, which is probably one of the more famous Neopet minigames, where you are the Mercia. It's basically a snake. You got to run around the board, collect all the shit, collect the eggs that are the good eggs. Don't collect the fire eggs. If you do it on different speeds, you get different point values. If you do it on, and then the randomness of what appears, you can set it up so that way you can operate on a curve where you're not on a grid system. You can set it so that way there are hedges you can get around. All of that's not in this game. There are 3 difficulties, easy, medium, hard, but none of them have any real difference when it comes to actually altering the gameplay flow. All of it is the exact same speed with the exact same point values. The eggs are all the exact same point values, and it just doesn't work right. Destructo Match, which is the Match 3 game, Sometimes the previous levels things just don't disappear. So like what you have to do is you have to match 3 of the or more to get more points of the same colored rocks by them all touching, and you have to do that, and then whatever is left you lose points for. The issue is sometimes they don't disappear, and then they just stay there, and you have to kind of guess and check what's there, which is a problem. Also, I encountered a glitch on this where you don't actually get a what's it called? You don't actually get you can't actually lose. It's the thing I encountered. It doesn't track your score properly. The other thing, let's see, what else was there? Extreme Herder. So this is one where you play as a Kachik. You got to run around, get all the little pets into the pen. It works mostly well. I've had a few times where the thing that's trying to eat your animals spawns out of bounds and then just can't get in, which makes that level incredibly easy. The same issue with Destructo Match also applies to the Mahjong clone, where it sometimes just won't accept what you're trying to press. For no good reason. You have to restart, to the point where I thought I was going insane, and I'm like, do I guess not know how to play Mahjong? And they're like, no, I do. A good amount of the rules aren't actually explained. There are weird hitboxes on a bunch of the games, like the snowball fight has weird hitboxes. It doesn't explain to you in the instructions that hitting the fairies is not a good thing, which is kind of a problem considering that they pop up so often, and it's just like, oh, hit them as they go by. There's also no animation when you hit them and that they have been hit. They just kind of disappear, which is kind of visually a little bit strange. On to, what's it called? What's the next one after that? Ice Cream Machine. So this is a point-and-click one where you use your mouse in the original, and you are a little thing, and you have to move your mouse around to avoid ice cream that's moving from the top bottom of the screen to the top. The music does not loop. So once the song plays once, it just kind of stops and you're operating in silence. Snow Muncher has no animation for when you die, so you just kind of just stand there awkwardly for a second, and then another one falls down from the sky. The Hassie Bounce does not have good hitboxes, which will take a few attempts to get through, just because it's like, oh, that's weird how you can time it out perfectly, and just the hitboxes on the donuts you're trying to catch are not great. Yeah, it's just kind of a buggy mess all the way through. And the thing is with this, and what I want to talk about, is that it's like, the game I hate playing when I do these reviews is what would I have done differently to make this better? And I think that on top of making making sure the mini games all work right, and this ships out working properly, which would have been a good first step. Because here's the thing, I think if it was just the mini games and all the mini games worked, I'd probably give it a 2 or a 3. I think that, no, I would give it a 2, because the issue is, for a collection like this, if it's not built into the Neopet ecosystem, it doesn't work, because these were first and foremost Flash games, but within the confines of Neopets.com, these were Flash games as a means to an end. And what I mean by that is, they existed as a way to earn virtual currency, and that was capped out at a certain amount. You could only, I want to say it was 1,000 a day, 1,000 a day per round. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe it was 100 per day per round. It was 100. It was definitely 100. There was one that was a bonus, you can get double, but 100 per day per round, so you can get up to 300 per game per day. So like, you have that. That's that's very straightforward. But the issue is, like, these games were also therefore weighted with this in mind. They were designed, and the difficulty was scaled with this in mind, where you couldn't progress too much further than where this goes. I think the perfect example of this is Extreme Herder. Because this is a mini game that I played a fuck ton of when I played Neopets, because it was an easy way to farm points. And what I would do is I would just do that. Once you get up to a certain point, you'd kind of max out what it is, and then you just die. You go back, boom. Submit your score. There's your 100 points for this. And the problem with this is, the fundamental problem with the way this game is kind of set up is that you aren't actually adjusting that for what could be endless gameplay modes to go on forever. There's no reason why like that game specifically couldn't turn endless, and you create a leaderboard of people playing and trying to do that. But when it is a straight port, it doesn't really matter. And the same goes for like every game here. The one where you have to collect the outfits for the Barbie dolls or whatever the fuck they are. When you're playing that mini game, there's a world in which that's an endless loop game where it's just like, hey, we're going to go through, we're going to collect everything, and then you're going to keep going and the times get lower and lower each time. And there is a way to do this. You just have to know what you're doing. But the issue is too, it just becomes optimal pathing because it's the same layout every time, or at least it was for me. Maybe it's not for everyone, but all three rounds it was the exact same layout, just to remember where everything is. And fundamentally, that's kind of my entire problem with this game, is that it's like, they didn't do that, which would have been the bare minimum. I think had they updated these games with that in mind, with the intent that like, hey, we're playing this on a console, the goal here is not to get the 100 coins. I mean, yes, you can do that. You can link your existing Neopets account to this and submit your scores to get points. I'm not saying you can't do that. You definitely can do that. They mentioned that several times. You can do that. But with the website not being quite as popular as it was in its heyday, you can't run this way and be like, oh well, this is a good idea. Like, you gotta update these games so that way it's like, oh, okay, well, we'll do this. Because I would say that like the people who are still playing Neopets are not gonna spend $25 to play these games on their Switch or on their PlayStation 5 or natively through Steam on their computer. I don't know, like, I would assume that they rebuilt some of these mini games when Flash Player was killed, and it's just a collection of them. But it just seems kind of a little bit weird to me that this is what they're doing. And had they made these games more engaging, had they made the high score system more engaging, I feel like this would have been a much better system. Even if you are taking a hint from like modern mobile games and how it kind of how they operate with their leaderboards and all of these kind of events that happen, that kind of thing would have worked very well. Look at like Royal Kingdom or something like that, and look to that. But the idea that like you're not taking those opportunities, this whole thing feels just very shallow. Which brings me to like, that's kind of like the bare minimum of what this game should have been. Optimally, this game should have been a light version of the website, where it's like, we're not going to go in depth with the shops, we're not going to go in depth with exploring the world, we're not going to go in depth with like anything of that like that. We're going to keep it fairly straightforward. And it's like, you're going to get points. It's going to be a divorced ecosystem from the website. You're going to get points. You're going to use that to feed your pets. You're going to make a pet. You can use the points you collect to get paintbrushes to paint them different colors. You can build a house. You can put the battle dome in. But there are so many things that would have been a better way to do this, because like that's the thing with like the story mode. The story mode is so bare bones and just kind of boring. I kind of would have preferred they just didn't do it at all. I could not give one single fuck about the story mode. It's a visual novel. You're looking at the map. Part of the map opens up. You do some mini games. You move on with your day. And that's kind of my entire problem with this thing, is that it's like it's indicative of the whole situation. The idea that like you're doing these mini games, and again, because the mini games were part of this ecosystem and designed to give high scores, and you're doing a storyline that's based on high score getting, like the idea that like your score isn't reflected in this game in story mode is just absurd. Like, the whole thing is just really fucking lazy. And that's what it is. And that's why I can't say go out and buy this game. It's that to go out and buy this would be a waste of your money. It would be a waste of your time. You're better off taking the 27 whatever it is to buy this game and throwing it directly out the window of your moving car to get a better return on investment than buying this. Honestly, for $27.50 you can probably buy a old Neopets stuffed animal and have a better experience than buying this. For $27.50 you can go and buy any number of other games on the shop, whatever shop of choice you want to play, and have a better experience than this game. Now again, because I played this on the Switch, I didn't have achievements, because the Switch does not have an achievement system. But from what I saw on Steam and what I saw people say about it on the PlayStation, there really aren't achievements for this game that are that difficult to get, which again, so piss easy to do. Just make the achievements hard. Like, make one round easy, one round hard. Promote people to go back and keep playing the game. And then I saw, like, people saying, oh, well, there'll be DLC. Fuck you. You're going to make me pay for more minigames that you're going to half-ass putting out. Like, you couldn't even get this shit together for release on the first round. You're going to make me pay for more shit. Like, you don't include, like, some of the bigger games that people remember. Like, Meepit vs. Feepit, which was, like, the Street Fighter style game where you're two fucking little guys who gotta beat the shit out of each other. Oh, and that's the other thing. Speaking of Meepits, the fucking Meepit like mini game where you gotta move the juice from one end to the other to match the colors is too easy in this because it's glitched. Where it's like in the original, when like each one of them has a countdown, you have 40 seconds, 50 seconds, 60. I think it starts at like 60 and then incrementally goes down as the game goes on. You have 60 seconds per one to get the juice from point A to point B. If you don't do that, it leaves, you lose a life. You lose 3 lives, you lose. And then as the game goes on too, you have less time. Plus, you have more of them show up, so you got to balance all of them to kind of do that. It has a level of difficulty to it. This one, it resets them every time. So if 2 pop up, and it takes me 30 seconds to feed one of them, and I have 50 seconds total. Oh wait, no. The other one resets back to 50. So I'm like, okay. I eventually got to the point where I'm on like level 8. What the fuck am I still doing this for? I got the high score that I needed to move on, so I just let it die. And I was just like, all right, let me just... Like, I put it down, got up to get some water, came back, all right, time's up, we're good, moving on. Like, it's just poorly optimized experiences all around on this. But the idea that you're going to make me pay for some other games now, like, it's just absurd. You're going to make me pay more for more games. First of all, the idea that you're charging almost $1 per game for Flash games is absurd, let alone unoptimized Flash games that run worse than they did on the website in fucking Internet Explorer when I was playing this game 15 years ago. Not more than 15 years ago, closer to 20 years ago when I was playing this. They ran more smoothly in Internet Explorer than they do on my Nintendo Switch. In a software that is designed to run it. Like, what the fuck is this? It's just categorical stupidity that makes it just one of the worst gaming experiences of the year. And I will be hard pressed to find something that will bottom out this year's Game of the Year talks than this one. There is no way that another game comes out that is worse than this one. And I know I'm saying that now, and it will end up biting me in the ass because I will end up playing something else worse. But, like, I don't think I've ever been so... Like, there have been games that I've bought for review on this podcast and on 30 Minute and on Beware of Spoilers before we had this podcast in the past that I've been disappointed in. I famously was disappointed in Kingdom Hearts 3. And I think that the issue that I have with this is that it's like, it's not even disappointing that's like, oh, this didn't hold up to how it did when I was like 10 years old. No, it didn't hold up to like the minimum standard of making a working game in the year 2026. Because like, had you at least had all the mini games working properly, this would have been a much different experience. But you couldn't even put in the effort to do that. This is an abomination of a game. And we'll wrap up there for today. I don't know what we're doing next week yet. But until then, have a great rest of your week.